This episode is sponsored by the Freedom Builder System. For just $57 a month, you can get my custom Biz Builder AI, plus membership in the Freedom Builder community. Think of it as having me, your personal business coach and corporate escape Sherpa, right in your pocket 24/7. Biz Builder AI is your business building tool with 5 Sherpas in one powerful tool. It's a coach in AI form that helps you choose the right idea, create offers, build your financial runway, and market yourself without the cringe. And the Freedom Builder membership gives you the training, community, and accountability to actually follow through. So you're never doing this alone. Think of it as clarity, tools, and support all in one for less than the cost of a dinner out and a fraction of what you'd spend on private coaching. Check the show notes for the link, and let's get into today's episode. Welcome back to the Gen X Remix, Midlife, Laughs, and Next Acts, the podcast for bold women who are ready to build a business that actually lights you up and escape corporate. Yes, friend, in that order. I'm your host, Tabatha Jones, the Corporate Escape Sherpa. And today's episode of the Gen X Remix is one you won't want to miss. My guest is Cris Toto, also known as the Primal Italian, and he completely remixed his health after being diagnosed with Hashimoto's at 50. His 40s were filled with exhaustion, weight gain, brain fog, and endless doctor visits that left him feeling frustrated and dismissed. But instead of giving up, he decided to dig in, transform his lifestyle, and take control of his healing. Now he's on a mission to help others, especially women with thyroid issues, reverse their symptoms, find relief, and step into lives full of energy and purpose. We're going to dive into his story, the power of primal living, what to ask your doctor, and how to become your own best health advocate. Let's jump into this powerful conversation and welcome Cris Toto. All right, Cris, welcome to the Gen X Remix. How are you today?
I'm wonderful. Thank you so much for having me on the Gen X Remix podcast. I'm excited to be here and talk about how I remixed my life, talk about Hashimoto's, health and wellness.
Oh, so excited to learn more today and learn more about your journey. So that said, as we're hopping in, I'd love for you to share your remix story with us.
I'd love to share. During my 40s, I started out in my 30s. I was a massage therapist and personal trainer, had a thriving business in the Hamptons in New York City and on top of the world. Then my 40s hit and I started losing my energy. I started being exhausted all the time. I developed vertigo so bad. One time I collapsed while crossing the street in New York City. My wife had to pick me up. I gained like 40, 50 pounds of weight I couldn't lose. And then I was in pain constantly. I went through 8 major surgeries during my 40s. Suffice it to say, my 40s were horrible. They sucked. I never even thought I had an autoimmune disease, or no doctor I went to would even think about testing my thyroid. First of all, because I'm a man and they said only women get thyroid problems. They wanted to give me a pill or cut me open. That was kind of their solutions to my chronic pain and problems. I was diagnosed with Hashimoto's when I turned 50. And that was kind of the turning point of my life. I got on the proper medication. I started really researching how to eat right, what causes autoimmune conditions, specifically what goes on with Hashimoto's. And I realized that my lifestyle was really the cause of why I got sick. But it was an epiphany, and I realized my lifestyle, I could change it and I could totally change my health around. So I did that. I worked diligently. While taking the medication helped a little bit, I still couldn't lose the weight. I still was having vertigo. I still was having brain fog. I'd walk into a room and go, "Why am I here?" And my wife would have to tell me why I was in the room. But then when I changed my diet, when I started aligning my sleep habits with the sun rising and setting, um, and getting proper sleep and exercising smartly, I lost 40 pounds in 18 weeks, I think it was. My
Wow.
brain fog disappeared. My symptoms disappeared and I became symptom free right about 3 month mark. Then that kind of got me on a mission. And I figured if I could do this for myself, maybe I can help other people. And my wife had a thyroid condition. She had thyroid cancer due to 9/11. So I saw how she struggled with that and almost died. So I decided to have my mission become helping women with thyroid problems, specifically Hashimoto's, reverse their symptoms and get on the road to remission. Um, and I walked kind of aimlessly through life till my 50s. And now every day I know what's going on. I have a mission, I have a purpose in life. And as horrible, sucky as getting Hashimoto's was, I feel like it was an epiphany and a turning point in my life that now I do have a mission and I wake up every day and I almost thank God, the universe, whatever you believe in, for giving me Hashimoto's. Because now, like I said, I do have a mission. Um, and I wake up every day excited for the day, excited to do all the marketing, the the legal stuff, the business stuff, because I get to help people. And that's such an empowering feeling when my clients walk out and go, I feel amazing now. My life has changed around. Thank you, Cris. I'm like, I almost cry.
Oh, I can only imagine. And I feel you so much on that getting into your purpose. Sometimes things that don't seem very positive at the time, they're painful, they're uncomfortable. They're the things that drive us to finding our purpose and moving on into that next thing and then bringing your gift to the people who need you. And based on the story you just told me, sometimes I'm betting those women don't even know what's going on with their bodies. So, my question, kind of following that, is do women already know they have Hashimoto's when they come to you, or do they come to you because they're having certain symptoms and believe you can help with that?
Mostly they know they have Hashimoto's and they're so discouraged with conventional medicine and being gaslighted by doctors that they need somebody that understands them, that gives them the hope that they can heal. Because the conventional narrative with most autoimmune diseases is you have it for life. You're going to take medication. Everything's going to progressively get worse. You're going to be on more and more medication. Um, and that's it. Here's a pill. I'll see you in 6 months. We'll run labs. Or even worse is these women, they'll be struggling for years. They'll be exhausted. They'll have anxiety through the roof. They'll go to the doctors because they're getting a panic attack. Um, and their doctors will be like, well, you're just getting older. You're just going into perimenopause. Um, you're just overly stressed. And here's an anti-anxiety pill. Here's an SSRI. Here's a thyroid medication. Maybe your thyroid, we'll do the blood test, but we don't do all the blood tests. So they'll only get a part of the picture.
Yeah.
And then they start not even trusting themselves. They know something's wrong, but they trust their doctors. You're taught to trust your doctor. They know best. They went to medical school. So if they're saying I'm normal, I must be normal and it must be all in my head. Um, so those are kind of like the two stories, or they'll find me on Instagram or they'll know somebody one of my friends will say, I follow Cris and it sounds like you have a thyroid problem. Maybe you should talk to him because there's 14 million Americans alone that are diagnosed with Hashimoto's.
Wow.
There's at least another 9 million people out there, and that's conservative, that have hypothyroidism, have a thyroid issue, that have no idea that they have it. They're exhausted. They think maybe, especially after you turn 40 and a woman, that you're entering perimenopause, you're just getting older. This is just what life is dealing with you. And no, it's your thyroid failing because we're subjected to toxins in our food, in our air we breathe, in the water we drink. And your poor thyroid is just getting crushed.
Yeah. Absolutely. And to your point on the, modern medicine, you go to the doctor and it's like, oh, it's just perimenopause. And then, as a woman who's been through this, I know I kept thinking, why can't I snap out of these things? Why am I tired? So I don't have Hashimoto's. But I was just at a point where I was so tired, but I couldn't sleep. So I would go to bed and I would be wide awake a half an hour later for the night. I had so many things going on and I just felt like crap all the time. And finally, I was like, that's it. I'm going to see a naturopath and see what happens. And fortunately, I'm in a great position, very blessed and able to afford that type of treatment rather than having to rely on my, regular insurance. Found out I've been dealing with Epstein-Barr and Lyme disease, which I went back to my doctor and said, these are the things I tested positive for. I want you to test again. I want you to test because they don't test for that. So yeah, we'll test that out of your pocket. And we only run this one Lyme test. I said, well, that's interesting because my naturopath ran 3 Lyme tests. And guess what? On 2 of them, I'm testing positive. So it's so important to know how to push in the medicine world to get what you need and to not take it as it's all in my head. It's, yes, in menopause, we walk in a room and we forget what we walked in the room for. It happens. Our brain gets a little funky. It could be menopause, perimenopause. But often the fact that we're exhausted or we don't feel good or something just feels really off is a sign of something deeper. And, being able to be assertive is important when it comes to healthcare.
Yeah. And a lot of my clients, Epstein-Barr and Lyme disease are 2 big triggers for Hashimoto's. So
Interesting.
yeah. Um, and that's so true, like to get tested and to become, no matter what you're dealing with in your health, is to become your own advocate. Learn, because honestly, the one person you're stuck with every minute of every day is yourself. And you don't learn about health in school. You'll learn about the birds and the bees and some things, but you don't learn about how the body works. You don't learn about how food changes into energy. You don't learn about like what sugar does to you, what this does to you. So you need to learn about that so you can, especially in our generation, live better than our parents did. And I may be biased, but I think our generation is so important to be the leaders of the world because I feel like we're the last hope for humanity in some ways.
So many
We're the
ways.
last generation that knows what it's like not to be raised by a video game or a tablet.
Right. Or distracted parents or, those types of things. I mean, yeah, we got to go out and do a lot of things that were never recorded, but, definitely. I agree with you. One of the things you said also that caught my attention is through your 40s, you were sick. So you just weren't feeling good. You didn't get to live your best life until you got into your 50s and you had dealt with all of these things. What's your advice to someone who is just feeling that kind of something's not right, but my doctor's telling me I'm okay? What's your advice to them?
Um, Go to a different doctor. Doctors are like anyone else on the planet. 20% of them are great. 80% of them are just in it to be in it. So find a different doctor. If you can't do that, use technology to your advantage. Learn, read about your symptoms. What could they be? Because everyone's different and everyone's symptoms could mean a lot. Don't freak yourself out, but learn about, especially diet, because everything starts with the gut. Every illness that you can have really starts with the gut, and you can heal almost everything by eating better. Stop putting processed food in your mouth. Watch out for gluten, dairy, soy, processed foods and grains. If you have the means, get tested like you did. So, because if you learn you have Epstein-Barr or Lyme disease or mold exposure, realize it's not just in your head, that you feel something, your body, your gut is telling you something's wrong. Listen to it. It's not just getting older. Maybe if you're in your
Yeah.
70s, it's just getting older, but not in your 40s.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's interesting because I'm 54, almost 55, and my energy is so much higher than it was when I was, I think, in my 30s, but also, raising kids and being busy and commuting and all those things were really draining. And you don't eat as well when you're busy. You don't always stop and think, oh, that's probably not the best choice, but you know what? It's the choice that's going to fill me up so I can wind up and get through the rest of this day. Right.
Mhm.
So food is so important. And interesting too. So my husband's been totally going to squirrel you here. Sometimes we go in weird directions, but he has this car washing thing and, it has this filter and it makes sure it doesn't leave water spots and whatever. So he started testing water. He got this little water tester and I laugh. I'm like, we're geeking out on water right now. And he drinks bottled water and I'm always on him. I'm like, dude, the plastic, we don't want to do the plastic, blah, 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 blah. And he's like, well, the water you're drinking is from the tap and it's not any good. And I'm like, it's filtered through the fridge. So he dipped his little tester in and I was like, oh no, oh no. Like the metals and the minerals that are so heavy and chemicals in our water, even after it's run through that filter. So the reason I went down this whole rabbit trail is because things we think we're doing that are right, that are good, it's still sometimes putting things into your body that you can't control or you aren't even aware of.
Totally. I have a funny story. Well, maybe not so funny, but so we live in Middletown, New Jersey, and it's notorious for using chloramine,
Mm.
which is a mixture of chlorine and ammonia. It's almost like mustard gas to clean their water. So we moved from New York City into this town. So my wife goes to her beauty salon, and we can't do your highlights, honey. Your hair's too chlorinated.
Oh.
She comes back, honey, we're getting a whole house filter, everything, the water softener. We're getting so right then and there, the last 7 years, we've had the best water. Everything got
Right.
changed that day. And God bless my wife's hair.
Right.
Oh,
Like it or not, our hair rules the world.
exactly.
Whatever we're
Happy
investing
wife,
in, it has to do with our hair.
happy wife, happy life, happy wife hair. And I'm ecstatic. But now our water is
Yeah.
pristine. And I did so many studies that I should have known about this when I was getting my MBA. I did 5 reports on water quality and how different communities mess with their water, and just to all the cities, everyone, the the second number one thing you can do besides find another doctor is get your water filtered and make sure you're drinking clean water, because everyone needs water.
Absolutely. So yeah, we are working on getting a system for our house and I will be drinking bottled water until until that
And you
time
might
comes.
also research hydrogenated water.
Okay, good to
So
know.
you can either get a water bottle, or they now come with tabs. Hydrogen is, when it's put in water, is one of the biggest antioxidants to get into, that small enough that can get into every cell, and it
Okay.
helps um, get rid of free radicals.
That's interesting. So good to know. I mean, there's so many things we put on our body, in our body. It's just, it's always good to get that extra help. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
All right. So tell me, some of the symptoms you described from Hashimoto's very similar to what I've been dealing with the Epstein-Barr and Lyme. How do people know when they have Hashimoto's? How do they know when it's time to go to the doctor and get that checked?
You're exhausted all the time. You wake up sleeping 9 hours, and you're still tired. You're gaining weight consistently, and no matter what you try, you can't lose it. Um, your joints ache, your hair might start falling out. You just feel off, and all these other things happen. But as soon as you start feeling off, ask your doctor for a thyroid panel and a full thyroid panel. And for everyone out there, it's not just your TSH, which is your thyroid stimulating hormone. That's the one that most doctors will test.
Mhm.
But you also need to test your total T4, your total T3, your free T4, and your free T3. Those are the two main thyroid hormones. Then to find out if you have Hashimoto's, you have to have your thyroid peroxidase antibodies tested. That's TPO antibodies. And then your thyroglobulin antibodies. So those two main antibodies that show up on tests. And if you're positive for either of those over a certain limit, that'll tell you you have Hashimoto's and why you might be having hypothyroidism or hyperthyroidism. The other tests will kind of tell you that. And then you'll have a full panel of what's going on. And the other thing to check is your reverse T3, because if you have too much reverse T3 in your system, it'll bind to the receptors for thyroid hormone. And then do a full nutritional panel. Make sure you have enough B12, vitamin D, and all that stuff. Excuse me. But first, start with those thyroid tests and be diligent, not obnoxious. But your doctor, well, we just test T4, TSH. No, please test this. Well, your insurance might not cover it. You know what, doctor? I'll pay if my insurance doesn't pay for it. Most insurance will pay for it. But push. Don't just take your doctor's advice because they're only taught so much.
Yeah, absolutely great advice. And that pushing is what's so important. Again, we walk around as women, we're like, must just be menopause, must just be perimenopause. And, it can be so much more. So taking the time to push and really ask for what you need, or you have to be your own best advocate when it comes to healthcare.
Mm-hmm.
Um, that's kind of leading me then to my next question. So we go through the process, we find out, yes, it is Hashimoto's. What is the next step? Is there a cure? Is it going to be medication? Is it diet? What does that look like?
The first thing I would say is get on the proper medication for you and the proper dosage. I'm an advocate of natural desiccated thyroid hormones. The FDA is right now in a crusade against them. The other option is levothyroxine and synthetics. The problem with those are a lot of people won't be able to convert T4, which is what the synthetic is made at primarily, because if you're deficient in zinc, selenium, more than we can get into here, you won't be able to convert T4 to T3. T3 is the active hormone. Other than medication, start altering your diet. I'm a complete advocate of going gluten-free, first off, especially if you're eating wheat products or gluten products that are made in the United States. Not only is gluten really hard to digest, it breaks through the intestinal liner, causes leaky gut lining. It's also sprayed with glyphosate or glyphosate Roundup, um, which is a toxic chemical that causes all sorts of things besides Hashimoto's, including cancer. It's also sprayed with all wheat products are enriched with folic acid, which is great for 40% of the population, but 60% of us with a gene mutation, the MTHFR gene mutation, won't be able to methylate that properly. So that causes a whole sort of other cascade of problems like anxiety, um, in kids, ADHD really badly. Other than that, dairy is another thing that you should watch in your diet. Soy products are a problem. Processed foods in general are a problem. The
Right.
standard American diet is a problem So eat meat and vegetables as your primary source of calories. Um, Filter your water, drink good water, um, and then read, educate yourself about Hashimoto's. So you can go to your doctor and tell them what tests you want. Tell them, have a meaningful conversation with them. Well, I'm trying this diet. I've eliminated gluten from my diet. I'm having, when I eat a cookie or when I have a piece of cheese, I'm having bloating issues. So you can just recognize when you eat something or something happens to you, you can have a meaningful discussion with yourself and then with your healthcare practitioner.
That's great advice. I know educating yourself is so important. In the past, when I would go to the doctor with a symptom, I would come out with a pill. So, right, this is happening. Oh, you have IBS. Never track it back to, oh, you probably should eliminate dairy and see what happens. I happen to have an intolerance to casein, which is not lactose. So I'd been telling people, I think I'm lactose intolerant. Nope, casein. So all the high protein stuff, I can't eat it. But
Yeah.
they go to the doctor and here's your pill, go do this and you'll be fine. And sure, you are. Or migraines. Yeah, well, your migraines clearly are this. Here, just take this pill. I'm like, oh, all right. Well, once you get to the root of what's causing these things, they tend to go away once you're able to eliminate. And your point about, gluten, our food here is so highly processed. Anything with flour in it is, or grains, it's so processed, not to mention pesticides and all of that. I was in Paris earlier this year, still bragging about it, and was able to eat this is really bad, but I did it anyway, a chocolate croissant every single day with my coffee. Never once did I look like I was 12 months pregnant. Here, if I eat a chocolate croissant, I look like I'm about to give birth.
Yeah,
Swell up so bad.
so true.
So it's just so much, there's so many differences in our food. So, even if, I guess what my point is just making a couple of shifts starts making you feel better, that can be it. It can truly be driven by food, but continuing to go through the process and educate yourself is so important. Um, Something that in the prep notes that I went through, you mentioned something about going primal. What does that mean, and why is that a powerful tool when it comes to overcoming Hashimoto's?
Going primal is going back to the basics. For millions of years, we were hunter gatherers. We didn't eat grains. We didn't rely on farming techniques. So basically, it's using evolutionary science and ancestral health techniques to optimize your health. It comes from Mark Sisson, the Primal Blueprint, the 10 laws. Um, Eat plants and animals, avoid poisonous things, get plenty of sunlight, um, get your Z's, lift heavy things, sprint once in a while. Um, and obviously three more that I forgot. But it's basically getting back to what we did as primal human beings to easily live to 70, 80 years old and have health that whole time. So
That's
you
great.
eat grass fed, grass finished beef, pasture raised eggs um, that aren't conventionally raised. You eat organic produce that's not sprayed with chemicals or minimally sprayed with chemicals. Um, lift heavy things because muscle is the greatest predictor towards longevity. You sprint once in a while so you get your heart rate up and you build your cardiovascular system. Um, I don't know if it was Gary Brecker or Peter Attila said, but aging um, is the extreme pursuit of comfort. So living primally is getting out of your comfort zone, doing things that are uncomfortable to you to cause a hormonal response that benefits you, leaning out, getting stronger. making your body work better, having your digestion become normalized.
That's really great. Um, I do see this happen a lot with people when they retire and that's happening sometimes, late 50s on up into your, 70s or whenever you choose. But rather than taking that opportunity to stay active or to continue to push yourself to try new things, a lot of people kind of huddle up, like get inside and we're going to sit down all day long and we're going to not do anything that really gets our heart rate up, or we're not going to work out with weights. And I see a big difference in the way people age when they choose to go that route versus the route of staying active, staying busy, keeping your mind engaged, and really, staying involved in everything that's new and important to your health. So that's great. And
Don't retire.
there's that. There's
Just
that.
switch.
Yeah, that's what I
Do
did.
something you love.
That's what you
But
did.
like, I'll never
Yeah.
retire. Like, I'll be doing this till the day I die,
Yeah.
which
That's
will
so good.
hopefully be at 150.
I hope so
But
too.
yeah,
But I get it. And that's, I have a financial advisor that says, well, has your date to retire changed? I'm like, no, I'm going to work until I don't want to do that anymore. And then hopefully I'm going to be traveling and playing pickleball. I don't know. But,
that sounds
you know,
fabulous.
you got to do some things. So when someone comes to you, well, let's go with how people can find you. So I'm sure a listener today is thinking, oh my gosh, I knew this wasn't just in my mind. How can that person connect with you and learn a bit more?
You can go to my website, theprimalitalian.com. You can follow me on Instagram or Facebook at the Primal Italian. And then in the show notes, there'll be a link to my free masterclass talking about my 3 discoveries on Hashimoto's, giving some case studies of some people I've helped, um, and getting people started on the journey towards managing their symptoms, getting on the road to remission. Um, and the masterclass called the Hashi Solution. So those are the 3 main ways they can connect with me. And then through there, they can DM me, ask me questions, tell me you heard about me on Empowered Leadership. And I'd love to have a conversation with you.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, perfect. Then, Cris, you have shared so much wisdom and advice. And even I've got a little note to go back and listen because some of the tests that you had mentioned having run, I think I need to get those done. What additional parting words of advice or inspiration do you have for us?
Remember that every day, everywhere, that there's somebody overcoming their autoimmune condition or their health condition. Um, Always believe that you can heal. Till you're dead, you can heal. Don't listen to your doctor, your husband, your wife, your spouse, your partner, your mother, your father. Listen to yourself. Become your own health advocate. Get better than you were yesterday, every day, just 1% better, like James Clear says. And you can do anything. You can overcome cancer. You can overcome Hashimoto's. You can strive to live your best life. It starts with education. It starts with learning what's going on with yourself. And it starts actually with believing that you can heal. So anybody out there that you may be feeling exhausted right now, you may be sick of being sick and tired, and you might feel like giving up. I know I did. I was there, but you can change it around. Don't give up. Don't give in. Keep fighting. You will, if you keep fighting, you will win. You will figure it out. Good luck. And if you need help, get in touch with me.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Cris. It has been a pleasure having you here on the Gen X Remix, and I look forward to staying in touch. Have a wonderful day.
Definitely. Thank you for having me, Tabatha. I appreciate it. Have a great day.
Wow, what a great conversation we just had with Cris Toto. I love how he turned one of the most difficult chapters of his life into a mission to help others heal and thrive. His reminder to never stop being your own health advocate is something we can all carry into midlife and beyond. If you want to learn more about Cris and his Hashi Solution Masterclass, you can find him at theprimalitalian.com or follow him on Instagram and Facebook at The Primal Italian, all one word. I'll drop the links in the show notes so it's really easy for you to find. And if you're ready to remix your own midlife story, don't forget to grab my free guide, the Corporate Escape Starter Kit. It's packed with tools and strategies to help you start building your next act while you're still in corporate. You'll find the link to that in the show notes. Until next time, friends, remember this: midlife isn't an ending. It's your remix and time to live your best life. So let's step into that bold next chapter. We'll see you next time.